Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and today we have a special guest, Samir Chantre. Samir is a black belt. He is one of the heads of Ares Brazilian Jiu Jitsu USA, I would say, right? Or the world.
The world.
But Samir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah, so we're both just getting out of a tournament, so we may be a little bit run down. I know my voice is struggling a little bit, but tell me about how you got involved with AZBJJL, as it's called now.
Yeah, it was 2010.
Okay.
2010 was the first time I was actually in Brazil. I had gone to Brazil for a little bit after I moved here to America in 2009, and then in 2010 I went to Brazil, stayed there for a couple of months, and came back. And then Gustavo invited me to go there and ref and compete here, actually.
Yeah.
To ref and compete. So it was a amen bracket. Amen bracket. There was a prize money. By that time, it wasn't very common. That wasn't very common, right? So it was absolute.
Wow.
It was absolute. It was me, Bruno Bastos, a bunch of big guys. And
wow. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. And then I refed. So that was the first time. That was the first time ever I got in touch with actually. I got to meet Gustavo and all, and and then he told me about the next tournament that would be going on, and we spoke about it, and I ended up starting job as a head ref.
Okay.
So I started putting the referees together and all that, because before Gustavo used to do everything.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to him. I was like, Gustavo, I think you're doing everything here, man. Like, and he was like, yeah, man. I was like, man, if you wanna, I can help. Let's talk. Let's sit down and talk. And then I started doing the head referee and taking some off of his shoulders. You know?
Wow. So about almost 13 years now you've been working with him. That's cool. So how did it? So you were brought in to do basically a Grand Prix, right? So he was going to have local competitors, and then you guys were going to be the main event, basically, right? The Grand Prix with prize money and everything. So that's still pretty common, I think, right? For some tournaments, having that Grand Prix in the middle of a tournament that's I don't want to say starting up, but has other competitors in it, right?
Yeah, it is. And by that time, it wasn't very common.
Okay.
By that time, it wasn't very common. It was 2010. It wasn't very common, and it wasn't very common to give prize money either.
Okay.
And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I was already living in California, so for me, it was relatively close. You know? And he bought us. I remember it was me, Tusa, Barata, Bruno Bastos, Jay Pages, and some of the guys. I ended up fighting Jay Pages. So it was a nice setup. It was a nice tournament. And then we ref the whole day, and then we stopped. We did the Grand Prix, and then we got back to
oh
referee.
My gosh! Wow.
Hey, I was 21, man.
Yeah. Now, were you a black belt by then?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a black belt.
Yeah.
I got my black belt in 2009.
Okay.
After Worlds 2009.
Wow.
So 1 year into my black belt.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So, tell me about when you got your black belt. Is that something that let's go back to when you first started. Did you start out in a kids program?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I started was 8 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I started was 8 years old, 8 or 9.
Okay.
99. Actually, never mind. I don't want to give up my age.
I hear you. He's 26, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. Yeah. So back in 2010, when I first started, no, I'm just kidding. I started in 1997.
Okay.
I was 9, 8 or 9, something like that. So I started in a kids program, and then I stopped for a little bit because I always played soccer too.
Okay.
So I always played soccer. Soccer was super big for me. Always when I was super young. I think I truly don't remember my life without soccer. Yeah. So if you ask me, I think I started soccer at 6 months old or something.
Right. Yeah.
So so I always play soccer, and then I ended up having playing in some teams in Brazil, in Rio. So I stopped a little bit of jiu-jitsu to go to soccer. Mm-hmm. I was 11. So I trained for 3 years approximately, and then I stopped and started playing soccer for 2 years. And then I was walking around in Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro, where I'm from. and I bumped into Alan Moraes, which is my instructor.
Yeah.
And he wasn't my instructor back then. I trained in Bolon Jiu Jitsu in Fabrício, Jiu Jitsu, 2 different schools in Brazil too, in Rio. And then, but Alan, he was my dad's neighbor. So he used to live like door to door with my dad. So I knew him. He was a good friend of my brother too. Like we used to play soccer together in the
complex,
building, in the complex.
Yeah,
Yes. So he was older, but he was like good friends with my brother. So we always got together and all. So it was, and he was like, "Hey, you're not training? Why you not training? You should come and train me." I was like, "Man, I'm actually, I actually want to get into it, get back into it." And he was like, "Yeah, come in, man." He had just got promoted to black belt, like 2 months.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, just come back." I was like, I'll be here tomorrow. What time?" And he was like, "Yeah, 3 p.m. tomorrow here at Carlson Gracie School." He was teaching there. And I just got my black belt and this and that. Come and train. I was like, "Okay, I'll be there tomorrow." Yeah, you're coming back tomorrow. That's what everybody says, right?
So a year later,
actually, next day.
Was it? Oh, okay. All right.
Next day I was there.
Right.
He looked at me. He was like, "Whoa,
yeah,
you actually made it."
That's
know?
cool.
From that day on, I was 13, never stopped. And
wow.
I kept grinding and just fell completely in love with something. It was always my passion too, but soccer was just. It was just something else for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's still was huge passion, you know, but of course jiu-jitsu took over, right?
Sure.
So, but yeah, that's when I got back into it 100%. It was 2003.
Wow.
February 2003.
Yeah.
So I got really back into it, and then 1 year later, got promoted to blue belt. I was 15-year-old.
Wow.
15 years old, got promoted to blue belt, and then I started like doing every single tournament you can imagine, competing every single weekend, sometimes two different tournaments in one weekend, like in 2 different places, like one Saturday, one Sunday, and and then when I saw, I was already like training 3 times a day. That's all I did. Yeah. That's
awesome. So you while you were training, so I've stalked you, obviously, but I've seen a lot of your posts when you go back to your blue belt days, and you had like the Mendez brothers and all these guys that were in your brackets at the time.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, man. Growing up with those guys, because it's like you see like the podium, and it's all like legends of the sport. You know what I mean? What was that like?
Yeah, it was nice though. So I was in Rio. I would win literally everything.
Yeah.
You know, like all my matches, like, I don't want to brag, but.
This is a safe environment.
Good.
Yeah.
All my matches were like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 minute, and 2 minutes. And like I would do 4 matches tournaments, and if you put all together, it was like 3 minutes.
Wow.
It was like flying triangles, guard, armbar, and flying triangles and triangles. And that's
just a highlight reel.
Like, yes, basically, yeah. And then I'll go to national level tournaments, and that's when I will face Guy Mendes, Rafa Mendes, and all like super tough fights. So I fought them Worlds, Nationals, World Cup, all major tournaments like that.
Yeah.
And it was all like I lost by 1 advantage to Rafa. And then I lost. I was beating Rafa with 40 seconds left. He swept me. I was beating the whole fight. I was beating him the whole fight. You know,
you were kicking his butt before you lost.
Oh my god! Yes, basically. Yeah. It was that was a nice fight actually. It was on YouTube not long ago. I think they put it. They took it down for some reason.
Oh, okay.
I was winning 40 seconds left. He swept me.
Wow.
I fought Guy. And then I fought Rafa again. And it was 3-2 in advantages, so I lost by 1 advantage again. So it all really good fights, but if you see the bracket, it was like I ran through one side of the bracket, like 4 matches and 4 submissions.
Wow.
Like they would run like the other side of the bracket. So
yeah.
All submissions too, and then it would collide, and it would be like a super nice fight, you know.
Wow.
So it was nice, man. It was nice being on that generation, and then with so much so much talent,
Yeah.
like that generation was a super nice generation. And then we had Arias, he was a weight class below us. And then we had Kishinho, that was the weight class heavier.
Did you grow up fighting him, Kishinho, or were you guys teammates?
We were teammates,
Oh, okay.
but he was heavier.
Gotcha.
So he would come up and train with us in our gym.
Did you just call Kishinho fat? Just kidding.
Depending on the time of the year.
Right, yeah.
Don't post that.
Well, we're going to edit that right out.
Yeah, so he was featherweight, and I was light feather.
Yeah.
Me and Mendes brothers. And then after they moved to feather, and then I moved to feather later. They moved to feather. Actually, I moved to feather. And then I moved to light feather, and then I was always light feather and feather my whole career.
Yeah,
like trying to make light feather the whole time, and then sometimes not making, sometimes lazy about it.
So just for people who don't know, how light is a light feather?
It's 64. It's 141.
141 pounds.
Yes.
That's with a gi.
With a gi.
Yeah,
yes.
and how tall are you? You're like 5'8"?
7.
5'7"? Yeah, that's not easy to do, man.
No, it's not, especially when you start so young.
Yeah.
And like the first time I cut weight, I think it was 14.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you start so young, you just get to a time. And then, but the crazy part was not long ago, like 2019, I was doing 132.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
For Ares BJJ.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and you also did I remember you were like Eastern Europe or Russia or something like that.
That's
you
for
really,
ACB, yeah.
Yeah.
That's for ACB. I did 132.
Wow, yeah.
And then I did also I think 3 Nogi Worlds at Life Feather, which is 135.
Yeah. So what's the talent pool like where you're from, the Rio area versus other parts of Brazil? Do people tend to like, in like basketball, you'll have like super teams. Everybody converges onto one team. Do people do that in Brazil? Like they want to go, I want to go train with this guy, and they attract other people and they build a super team? Or is it like very territorial? Like I'm from here and I'm going to represent here.
So back in my time, that wasn't that.
Okay.
No, that wasn't that at all. Like people wouldn't switch teams.
Okay.
When I got to black belt, people started doing this. Like Elias was one of the first ones to actually start doing that.
Yeah.
So they kind of built a super team back in 2009, something like that. So they won like 4 or 5 worlds in a row. Like,
wow.
Yeah. They had like one big name in a black belt division per weight class.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like some of the worlds they would win 7 out of 10 divisions.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they were the first ones to start doing this in my time,
Yeah.
But before, not much, man. Like before, like there was way more like, there was still that mentality, you know, like you don't leave.
You don't leave. Yeah.
Gym,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
That's pre-YouTube era, right? Yeah. You don't post your stuff. You don't share anything. Yeah. Yeah.
Social media. I remember when I started like looking for training, because the thing about me growing up was that I started in a gym where my instructor was starting teaching the classes, so he didn't have like a lot of students, and I was that guy who fell in love with it. I was that 14, 15-year-old rat, that would train, and all I did was going to school and train,
yeah.
And then I would go play soccer on the weekends, go to the beach, but I was training 2 to 3 times a day.
Wow.
So what happened was that a lot of my teammates, it would be cyclical, right? They would leave to go to school, to for jobs and this and that, and it was just me. So every year would be cycling through, like people leave and then new people come in, and then by the time it was like purple, brown belt, I didn't have enough training, or even was like in the high level of my soul. Let's say my third year as a blue belt.
Yeah.
So my last year as a blue belt, like I didn't really have enough training partners, like enough high level good training partners. So I'll go to either other times during my in my gym, and would visit some friends too. Yeah. And then how the very first time I trained with Kyle, with his brother, and some of the guys that used to train with us there, was kind of like that too. And this was something like new, and that like my instructor was always open-minded about it.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, go ahead.
That's
yeah.
rare, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super rare.
Yeah.
Super rare, you know? And I talk about it all the time because if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would be who I am today.
Yeah.
You know, because he was open-minded back then. He was open-minded when I decided to move to America and not representing our team anymore.
Yeah.
And then, and if you see right now what happened, like we have a team together.
Yeah.
You know. If he wasn't open-minded about it, if he wasn't mature about it, if he didn't think about me, maybe we would collide. Maybe we, you know, like maybe we would fight or something.
It'd be a falling out. Yeah.
And then even if we had an opportunity down the road, you wouldn't have that relationship, you know.
Yeah.
So a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, Samir, I think it's so nice how you have a relationship with your instructor for so long, how you guys get along so well." And I'm like, I'm like that person that wants to get along with everyone.
Yeah.
You know. But I truly give him a lot of credit for it because it was a really two-way thing. You know? It wasn't because I'm the best person in the world. It was because he has, you know, like he had a really open mind. He thought about me. You know, he was like, this kid is silent. This kid can do good in the future. You know, so he did for me what others didn't do for him. Yeah. You know,
and Josh Cisneros talked about this when he was training with Tom Knox in California. He always said that Tom, you know, Tom relied on him because he was one of the teachers and he, you know, one of the instructors there in the academy. But he always told him, if you have a good opportunity, go take it. Like he always had his best interest in mind. And I think for longevity, yours is the perfect story, right? He brought you up as basically a kid, right, through the system, and then you left. Not only did you leave Brazil and his team, you left the team. Period. Right? You went to I think you were CTA at the time when you came.
No, I was actually Gracie fighter, so Cesar Gracie.
Oh, okay, Cesar Gracie. Okay,
because Kai was a Caesars.
Gotcha.
So I came to do Worlds. I wasn't even going to stay for good.
Yeah.
I came in to do Worlds as a brown belt, and then I did Worlds, and then end up come up an opportunity at Caesars, and he was like, "Yeah, there's an opportunity here. What do you think?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." I went to Brazil, stayed there for 2 months, came back, and then my instructor promoted him black belt. I spoke to him. Hey, this came up. What do you think? He was like, "Samir, do it."
That's so cool, man. That's wild. Yeah, especially for that era. Now, it's not that long ago.
Yeah,
but it's still a different era.
In jiu-jitsu, it's like 1,000 years.
Yes,
in jiu-jitsu,
it is. Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu, 15 years is like 1,000 years.
It's yes.
Like, man, I tell people so many things like about like the difference jiu-jitsu now, like payouts, sponsorships.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. People starting jiu-jitsu now and seeing all what's going on, they have no idea.
No clue. Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. And I don't either. I didn't start that long ago. So hearing these stories, I'm like at the edge of my seat, really. But tell me about like, so you were talking about the third year at Blue Belt. What was now I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but what was your highest achievement at Blue Belt? What do you think that is at Blue Belt?
At Blue Belt, I won Europeans, state, nationals. I got third at Worlds. Pretty much.
Was Worlds still in Brazil back then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kind of cool to travel
World
to Brazil.
World Cup.
Okay.
Yeah, World Cup. That I have the podium with Guy and.
Yes,
Rafa.
I remember. That's a picture I saw.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. That's pretty cool. And then so you got your purple, and then again, are you just going to Europe and are you competing in Europe and Brazil, or did you have opportunities come to the States as well?
No, because there wasn't really the only tournament in America was Pan Am's.
Wow.
And I honestly never even heard about it.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I just did the Europeans. I don't even remember how it came up. Like I think I was on the IBJJF website.
Yeah.
And popped up like Europeans. I'm like,
Why not?
As well, yeah. So yeah,
that's
so
cool.
I was like, I spoke to my family. I was like, oh yeah, let's do a family trip.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was me, my mom, and my brother went to Portugal when I competed as a blue belt. Yeah,
very cool. Now today it'd be like a sponsor going, yeah, sure, I'll fly you out. You know what I mean? It'd be very different.
It's different.
Very different story, man. Yeah.
And that, we were talking about blue belt, and then when we get to black belt, I'll talk about differences.
Okay.
My first years of black belt.
Perfect. So let's talk about. I don't want to get the story wrong, but you told a story about how you got your brown belt.
I did, yes.
Tell us that story because I think it's fantastic and kind of funny at the same time.
Okay, so let's start with purple belt.
Okay.
So when I got my purple belt, I was killing it.
Yeah.
Like my blue belt, like I was telling you, like my last 6 months as a blue belt, it was like, not even joking. Like the black belts in the academies, they would be like, I'm not training with Samir if you don't promote him. And he'll tell my instructor that. I'm not training Samir if you don't promote him.
Yeah.
I was way far forward then, but my instructor wanted me to do worlds.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, I want him to do worlds last time as a blue belt, and that's it. And then I'll promote him. But
and you were what, 16, 17 at the time?
17.
Maybe? Yeah, 17.
17. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And super young, 2 years of blue belt only, you know, like, I had, but, and I would do the tournaments, the state tournaments, like literally I would, in the state level, I would submit every match in less than a minute.
Wow.
You know, and a funny story, I remember my mom hates seeing me compete, right? Always, she hates seeing me compete. She gets too nervous.
Yeah.
And then she went to one of the state tournaments, and I did 2 matches. I submit both of them in like under 30 seconds, probably.
Wow. And
I looked at her. I was like, I thought she was going to be all proud. She's like, please stop doing this. I was like, Mom,
you just got done in 30 seconds.
Exactly. Like, and she was like, it's too much for me. Don't do that. I was like, Mom, it took me 30 seconds. You know, like she was like, yeah, no, okay, yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. So going back to that. I was killing it. I was killing it on my blue belt. You know, like I said, I think on my I was undefeated. I think 38 matches as a blue belt, and I believe I submitted like 90% of it.
Wow.
Literally, wow. Not even. Yeah. And then I lost. It was when I lost to Gui Mendes, the Brazilian Nationals.
Who is a tough dude. He is a tough dude. Yeah, so those of you that don't know, the Mendes brothers have a academy in California called Ares Jiu Jitsu, and they are, I mean, you know, they've been competing at the highest, well, they've retired, but they competed at the highest level for at least 11 years, right? At least 11 years. And they have, you know, every accolade that we'll talk about later, but so please, continue.
Yeah, so, and then they were always super talented, and you know, that was their life too, and basically the competition was them. Yeah, like we were training for them. Like, wow. And then when I lost to Guy, I started training. It's like you get kind of obsessed because they were the only ones I would train for, because like there was not really competition between. It was only me in the national level when I faced them, and then me in the international level when I faced them. And then between them was basically just training for me, the tournaments that I would do. Yep. So all my training was to fight them, you know? Yeah. And I even made a post about it when they retired. I posted about it, and like they made me grow so much, you know, as a fighter, because I trained so much thinking about them. Yeah. All my belts, you know, and black belts too. So I was like, okay, my last war as a blue belt, man, I want to do good. You know? Yeah. So so I was killing it. I was doing really good as a blue belt. I won Europeans that last year as a blue belt too. So I was doing really good as a blue belt, and then my instructor promotes me. You know, like everyone expected. Not really, you know, surprised. Yeah. And man, like everyone was like, man, Samir's gonna kill purple belt. Yeah. You know, my instructor always had that mentality of, I'm only promoting you when I feel like you're gonna do really good at the new belt. Yeah. He never believed that I'm gonna promote you so you're going to work to deserve that belt.
You're not growing into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I like that.
He never believed that.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to grow until you're almost ready for the following belt.
Yeah.
You know? So, and then when he promoted to blue belt, to purple belt, it was just a different time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I went to college. I turned 18, which is the it's legal age in Brazil. You know, you can go out, you can go to clubs, you can drink, you can, and then you go to college, and then everything started. And then I started going internship to with a public defender in Brazil, in Rio. Okay. So my life kind of shifted a little bit. Never stopped training. Mm-hmm. Training was always a priority for me, just not training as much as I used to. Just my life shifted a little bit. You know, my focus shifted a little bit. Yeah. And I didn't do good. Didn't do very good in that belt. I won a state championship, but not even close as many times as I won before. Yeah. I didn't do very good in the national level. I didn't even reach, I think, podium on a pro belt. I didn't do Worlds because it was the same year Worlds moved to America. Oh, okay. It was that year, 2007. Yeah. It was the first Worlds in America. So I didn't do Worlds. The only big tournament I did was World Cup and Nationals. Mm-hmm. Both of them I lost on my fourth match. I didn't podium. Wow. Featherweight. I moved up in weight class too. So that, of course, that interfered a little bit too. Yeah. I moved up a weight class. I did win state championship and some good tournaments, but not national level. And then, man, I was like, okay. And it started, and for me, became more like fun. Why? Long story short is to like, by that time, back in the days, there was not really much hope for me that I was going to leave jiu-jitsu. Yeah. You know, it wasn't like, I never said like, oh, I want to be not that I didn't say that I want to be a fighter, but I didn't see much hope on being a fighter. Yeah. You know, that there was no money in jiu-jitsu whatsoever. Right. You know? And I come from a pretty good family, you know, like a nice neighborhood. I was studying law, working the public defender in Rio. So I was going to have a good life, you know, like, but if I decided jiu-jitsu, probably not so much, you know, that was kind of like my, you know, like the impression that it was pretty clear, you know? So I was like, I have to start dedicating myself to other areas now, you know? So, but I still train, I still competed and everything. And I would still like, and our team was so nice too. The gym there, the academy, the environment, my structure is like, man, it was like, we had such a good relationship. You know, I'd go to train and then go to his house, play video games, and then go, you know, like go acai, and then, you know, like such a good lifestyle, and then train again. So, I never wanted to stop that lifestyle. I never wanted to quit that lifestyle. Right. So I kept going, and tournaments, it was built in me too, you know? So I wouldn't stop going to tournaments, even though like I could go out last night, I would still do the tournament, you know, in the morning. I, like
the benefits of being that young, 18, right? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And not caring. Yeah. You know, and I didn't care, you know? It was just a purple belt kid, you know? Like I wasn't, by that time I wasn't like, I didn't want to become a professional. Yeah. So it wasn't my priority. So mess up like that for me didn't matter. Yeah. And then 1 year, so that was 1.5 years into my purple belt, and my instructor was like, just so you know, next tournament's gonna be your last one as a purple belt. Wow. I like, what? I was like, what the hell? Like, I thought I deserved my purple belt like 6 months before you're thinking about give it to me. Yeah. And you didn't. Yeah. And now that, man, I'm just messing around here, and you want to promote me to brown belt? Wow. Yeah. Of course I didn't complain.
Were you 20 years old yet?
No.
You were 19?
17.
17 still? Okay.
17.
Yeah.
No, 18. I'm sorry.
18. Gotcha. Yeah.
Actually, I was, was I 18? I think I was 18. Yeah, okay. I was 18. I had just turned 18. Yes. Gotcha. I had just turned 18. So, I went to college. I was 18. Yeah. I was 18. And I was like, man, I don't deserve a brown belt. Right. But I never questioned my instructor, you know? And I was okay. might as well just train, you know, like now I gotta feel that I deserve it, you know?
Yeah.
So I did train. I think he said like the next two tournaments. So I trained and I won both tournaments.
Nice.
And I won the last in the tournament that I won, the last tournament that I won, which was American Cup. I won, beating in the finals, submitting in the finals, a guy who beat me as a blue belt when I was doing the qualifiers for Worlds.
Wow.
So Worlds back in the days, they had qualifiers, the Worlds in Brazil. So you had to do the qualifiers one weekend, and if you qualify, you go to Worlds. So back in the day, so Worlds, you could only do Worlds if you were state champion, national champion, or world champion.
Wow.
Actually, I'm sorry, a podium.
Gotcha.
At state level, national level, or national level.
Yeah.
But my first year as a blue belt, I didn't even fight any of those tournaments.
Yeah.
So I tried to do the qualifiers, and I lost to this guy.
Wow.
And so as a purple belt, I submitted him in the finals.
No way.
So when I submitted him in the finals, my instructor threw me in the brown belt.
I remember this.
Yes, he threw me in the brown belt. And then it was funny because I tried to do the open class.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope. I was like, why? I'm pro belt. No, you just got a brown belt.
Yeah, you presented your brown. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
So I couldn't do it. So man, it was so in my mind it was like, man, like I thought I deserved the purple belt so much.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. And then he finally did. And I didn't think I deserved the brown belt.
Yeah.
And he did it.
Wow.
Funny thing.
Yeah.
My brown belt was 10 times better than my purple belt.
Really? Is that when you kind of decided, hey, this is the path I'm going on?
Nope.
What?
It was when I decided, if I don't train a lot, I'm gonna get my butt kicked.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. Yeah.
So I'm like, man, like if I'm not doing super well on my purple belt, I'm gonna get smashed on brown belt. You know, there's no way. And I would watch the tournaments, the brown belt tournaments, and man, like Durinho, Bruno Malfacini, like all those guys were, they were always one belt ahead of me, right? And I would watch them. I was like, man, how can I face guys like that? You know, like they felt like they were so ahead of me. And I'm like, man, I don't know. But yeah, so I started training. So my first tournament was a state championship. I won. My second tournament was Europeans. 3 fights, 3 submissions.
Wow.
Brown belt featherweight.
No way. That's cool, man.
3 fights, 3 submissions, and then a state championship. I won the state championship, and then Brazilian Nationals for CBJJE. So it's another federation. So I won. South American tournament, and then I got third at Brazilian Nationals for BJJF, and then I got third at World Championship.
Yeah.
So I podium in every single one. Podium at Worlds, podium at Brazilian Nationals, and 1 Europeans, 1 South American, 1 state.
Wow.
So, and all in 10 times better results than I had on the belt that I really thought I deserved. You know, I didn't have so much good results.
Yeah.
And then the one I thought I didn't. So it's all about what how you do your mindset.
Yeah,
you know?
your perspective on it, right? Yeah.
So it shift. My mindset shift. Like I'm good. I don't need to train. I don't need to train as much. I can just have fun and I'll still do good.
Yeah.
That messed me up.
Yeah.
The other one was I need to train because I want to win. I want to do good because I don't think I'm quite there.
Yeah.
And that switch, man.
Springboard.
Yep.
That's cool.
So it completely shift. And I can't say it didn't affect my college grades.
I'm sure. Something's got to suffer, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, I came to the Worlds here in America. I did 4 matches. I lost 24 years in the semis. Got 3rd place, and I had opportunity. The opportunity came up. one of the affiliations from Caesar. He guy left and ended up teaching a little class there.
Okay.
I liked it. Like, came back to Brazil. My instructor was like, "Yeah, promote me to black belt," and I was here.
Oh man, that's cool. That's a cool story about how you got here. Let me ask you about so in IBJJF rule set. When it comes to belts, you have to be a white belt. I guess there's no limit on white belt, right? But blue belt, minimum 2 years. Purple belt, minimum 18 months. 1 year at brown belt, and then black belt, whatever, right? Yeah. Was that still in play back then? Could you get your... Okay, so you couldn't just get bumped up.
So that actually started when I was a blue belt.
Okay.
And that was because of two guys, actually. That one ended up fighting. It was Gabriel Moraes. Mm-hmm. So Gabriel Moraes... I fought him 3 times as a black belt. I'm sorry. So Gabriel Moraes, he won purple belt worlds. Next year, he won black belt worlds.
Wow.
Yes.
Holy
he won.
Crap.
Yes. Yes. Or was it blue belt and black belt? Was something like I think it was purple. Yeah,
deal.
Yeah. He won. I think it was 2001. He won 2021 purple belt, and then 2002 he won as a black belt.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah,
it was something crazy. And then Ivaniel too. Ivaniel, he did the same thing. So he won. I think he won blue and then brown, something like that.
Wow.
But then that was when they caught, and then they were like, we can't. They were doing that in Manaus a lot, in the Amazon. So they were doing that a lot, like promoting the guys way too fast there.
Yeah.
But they proved themselves, right?
Yeah. They were deserving, but they hadn't put in the time, basically, right?
Basically, yeah. And we just saw this happening with Diogo, Fabricio, and Mika.
Yep, Mika Galvão.
Yeah, and they're from Manaus too.
Oh, okay.
But, hey, the kids proved themselves again, So
hands down, yeah.
So, but the federation wanted to do something about it, and they did. I remember, and I also remember that Caio wasn't able to fight. He also got promoted from purple to black pretty fast. I think he only spent 6 months as a brown belt.
Oh.
So he got flagged too. He didn't compete Brazilian nationals.
Because they suspended him, basically.
He was suspended, yes.
Wow, okay, yeah.
It was the same time. It was him and Ivaniel suspended at the same time. And I think they kind of caught because of Ivaniel that time,
Yeah.
Because he was a purple belt, and then 6 months later, he wanted to compete at black belt.
Wow.
Because I think it was the same structure as Gabriel Moraes.
Yep.
That did that.
Yeah, there's a lot of those rules that I totally agree with. I think the belt system, I think it's really good. Compared to, because there's certain things like I think there's a rule where you can't be an orange belt in a kid's program until you're a certain age, maybe like 11 or 12, something like that, which I think is really smart. And you can't get your blue belt until you're 16. The year you turn 16. Yeah. And then black belt you have to be at least 18.
Purple belt 17.
17.
And then brown belt 18.
Yeah.
And then basically 18 for 19 for black belt.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing because I mean, in my opinion, once you hit that level, once you hit that brown belt, black belt level, you should be almost not just a really good jiu-jitsu person, but you should also be in a position where you're mentoring people, right? You should be at an age where you can mentor. I don't want to talk bad about any other martial art. Yeah. They're all great. They all have their purpose, but I think that a 21-year-old black belt is in a better position mentally and physically to mentor someone than say a 10-year-old black belt in a different art. So that's really cool. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think there's way more to it than only the technical aspect of it.
Correct. Yeah.
So unless they do something about like sport jiu-jitsu and martial arts jiu-jitsu.
Right. Yeah.
But I do agree that there are other aspects of the belt that maybe a 16-year-old are not ready for it.
Right. Yeah, and that's really clear. Especially, I've been 16. I was an idiot. So, yeah. So tell me about your transition to the States. You came over, got your black belt from Alan, right?
Yeah.
And that was under Carlson Gracie, basically.
Yes.
Yep. Under Carlson Gracie system. You come to the States and you're training and you're competing in the States. Obviously, there's differences, right? But now you're like on your own. Like your family's back in Brazil still, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then you're here on your own. What was it like? Were you living with friends, or were you have your own place? What was that like?
No, I was living when I first got here. I was basically living nowhere.
Awesome.
Yep. I was I stayed in a gym for a little bit. I stayed at a friend's house, one of the students' house. I stayed at one of a friend's house. And then I finally, I think 3 months later, I stayed at one of I was teaching a gym, so I stayed in the owner's home.
Okay.
And then I was teaching another gym, and then I stayed at Caesar's home, Caesar Gracie, not at his house, but another house that he had. So I stayed at that house while I was teaching to kind of pay for my for my housing.
Yep.
And then I finally, I think 6 months after, I started sharing an apartment with Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we got the apartment together, and that's when it started to become a little bit more stable.
Yeah.
Because before, like the first 6 months, the first 6 months here was
pretty wild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So had you made the commitment to yourself, like, hey, I'm gonna do jiu-jitsu for a living, or was it just something like, I'll go to the States, compete, teach a little bit, live the lifestyle?
No, so even that was this how I sold that to my mom. I told my mom, I was like, hey, I can be a lawyer when I'm 30.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't be a jiu-jitsu fighter when I'm 30.
Yep.
You know, so starting a jiu-jitsu
Of course.
career,
Of course.
right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
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 So I was 20, right? I was 20. I don't know how my mom let me. But I was. My daughter, when she's turned 20, if she says she's going to another country, I was like,
absolutely not.
cut it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
So I told her, I was like, hey, I can go back. You know. So I put my membership on. I froze my membership basically on my. So I had 2 years to come back and start where I stopped.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try for 2 years, see where it goes.
Yeah.
You know, and I had just got my black belt.
Yeah.
I didn't know if I was going to be a good black belt.
Right.
I didn't know if I was going to be successful. I didn't know if I was going to like the lifestyle. I didn't know if I was going to be able to live away from my mom.
Wow.
You know, like,
yeah.
I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. Like I never lived away from my mom, from my siblings. You know,
Yeah.
like you know. I was like, okay, let me try it out and see how it goes. If in 2 years, and I didn't about visa too. Like if my visa was going,
Yeah.
like you know,
Yeah.
and nowadays, there's just so many people you can look up to and see. Oh, I want to follow that route. I want to follow that route. I want to follow. Back then, man, like I think if I could count it on one hand the amount of Brazilians that I had in our neighborhood. There.
Yeah.
You know, like in a 300-mile ratio there in Northern California, I think we had like what 5, 10.
Yeah.
You know, like what schools there? Claudio França, Ralph Gracie, and Caesar Gracie. That's it.
Wow. Yeah.
There's 3 schools there. You know, so, affiliations for Brazilians. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Affiliations, but that was it.
Yeah.
You know, like now every corner you trip in jiu-jitsu. You know, like
Yeah.
you're walking up.
Or you can join a Facebook group. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm looking for people in this area. Find them, no problem.
Man,
Yeah.
like just in my little town with 200,000 people, I got like 10 gyms.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
So and back then, I think it was 10 gyms in the whole Northern California. You know.
Yeah.
So so I didn't have like much. You know, like I had I had Kyle that had just won worlds. That was always like. Was always phenom,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I had me coming up. I was like, man, he was the only person that I could say like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try that route. You know? But like I said, he was always ahead of game too. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you had mentioned that he was like always ahead of like I don't want to say that he was like, he was kind of spearheading the life, right? Doing that for a living. And I think if I remember correctly, you were saying like, coming up with like sponsorships and associations and doing that kind of stuff. So can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, he was always ahead of the game. Kyle's very very smart guy. Very intelligent, always ahead of the game. Yeah. So he was very good, always very good with social media, always very good. And his jiu-jitsu was good. He was just sort of amazing, you know?
Yeah.
So he would, he popularized, he was able to put his name out there, you know? So of course I would see those things, mirrors those things. But at the same time, he was a black belt already for a year and a half, I think, and I had just got my black belt.
Right.
So I didn't know what I was going to be. I didn't know if I was going to be able to win world. I didn't know if I was going to be able to be in a spotlight. I didn't know. I didn't know anything.
And this is so wild for me to hear, because I'm like, I think we met when you were like in your 9th or 10th year at maybe 8th year at black belt. So anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I was human before too.
Yeah.
And then so I didn't know, like, just the example that I gave it to you, like, I thought I was going to do really good at purple belt and I didn't.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know much about brown belt and I did really well.
Yeah.
So you can't just think,
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it.
Go through the process.
Go through the process, see how it goes.
Yeah.
So I had 2 years. So that was kind of my deadline.
Yeah.
I had 2 years. If I do good, I stay. If not, I have to come back to keep my going to school and go back to school to law school. If I could only freeze for 2 years. For 2 years, otherwise I would lose 4 semesters that I did.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So and then I had just got promoted on my internship too. So I was like, hey,
You're walking away from a lot,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah. And a very stable family too.
Yeah.
Like all that. Like it wasn't that I came for the American dream.
Right.
It wasn't for like a poor kid from Brazil trying his life. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
I gave up a lot to not have a place to like, my mom never heard any of the stories.
Wow.
I remember that my stepfather, he was like, when he found out, like in a conversation, not like way long after, like maybe like 5 years after, he was like, and you never told any of that. And I was like, yep. And like, I never told my mom that I was sleeping in the car for a couple of days.
Wow.
Like that I slept in the gym, that I slept in friend's house and student's house, that I slept to one of the students' house that we couldn't stay in the house, but we could sleep in the house.
Wow.
So I would go my backpack, leave my stuff in my car, just get a little backpack with just a change of clothes and a toothbrush, and that's it. Boom, sleep. Get up in the morning, go to the academy.
Wow.
Like, and man, like my mom used to live we used to live in Brazil in front of Copacabana Beach.
Wow.
Like little steps away.
Yeah.
Like, nice view and all. So
that's pretty awesome.
But it was never my plan.
Yeah.
To come here and, hey mom, send me money. It was never my plan. I wanted to live the life. I wanted to go through. Otherwise, I would never know if I could make it or not.
Yep.
This wasn't the plan.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna do what's needed and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then so I got here in July 2009. So 13 years, just 13 years last month. So. July 2009. I got here. I won Nogi Nationals. I was runner-up Nogi World Champion. I think that was about it in that first 6 months, right?
Wow.
Because I came here like not first 6 months, first 4 months.
Yeah.
Because I came here already almost July, so 5 months, and then so next year, I close out. So I got to the quarterfinals at Worlds, which for me, like first Worlds as a black belt, I got to quarterfinals. I got to quarterfinals. So I went to the next day. For me, it was already huge. You know? Of course, I had way more expectations, but it is what it is. But then I won Nogi Worlds. I closed out with Caio Nogi Worlds.
Wow.
And won nationals, gi and nogi.
Nice.
So won nationals, gi and nogi, close out Worlds nogi, and then took third at Pan Am's nogi. And then the next year I took third at gi Worlds, and then it started like my career started escalating. You know, like then my career started escalating. My visa was approved, and then like things was getting better and better. And then I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna keep going this route. You know? So like I go in this round, and in 2013, And then after that, of course, and then I started teaching, and then we left Caesar, and then we started CTA.
Yeah.
And then I started teaching. Then we started teaching different schools, and I started teaching at Caius too. And then I started open a little school, like in partnership with a lady that had a karate school.
Okay.
And then in 2012, I went to Brazil for the first time. After all that, like, money was tight,
Yeah.
you know, my visa had just came out, and I had to pay for the visa too. It's pretty expensive. So my first time going back to Brazil was December 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just got back to my, got back virtually
Yeah.
with my ex-girlfriend.
All right.
And we actually got engaged.
Okay.
And then later she came, so we got married. We
Nice.
got married in Brazil. And then life started escalating from there. And then a few years later, we started Ares and all that. So
yeah, so let's talk about that. So when you started Ares, we were in transition. I was under Paul Nava at the time. I'm still under Paul Nava, but I was training at Paul specifically, and we were in transition. We were kind of without an association, and Paul, I remember. He was bummed, and he was just talking about, well, maybe he'll start his own association, or maybe he'll join this one or that one. And we were just kind of throwing ideas around. And then all of a sudden, the opportunity came up with Ares. Were we the first Ares affiliate?
you guys were actually Samir Chantre affiliate.
Oh,
before Ares.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
before Ares. So Queixinho left Kyle. Queixinho was no longer Kyle's CTA.
Yep.
I was still there. Queixinho was teaching at Caesar.
Mm.
And I ended up leaving too. But I didn't want to go back to Caesars. I was already in a stage in my career that if it was to not belong to my previous association, I was going to start my own.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't going to just join another team.
Yeah.
By that time I had just won another world championship. Actually, yes, I had just won Nogi Worlds in 2014, and then I think I won like 3 Pan Ams.
Wow.
Nogi pans. After that, I podium at all the pans too, like a bunch of gi pans and all that. So I was already in a stage of my career that I didn't want to be under anybody else.
Yeah.
You know. So, and then Milton also left Kyle's. So, but Kishin was still under Caesars. Kishin was teaching at Caesars.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, I don't want to start anything right now while Kishin is still not here, because the plan was always for us to start something together.
Okay.
And my instructor was still at Carlson Gracie.
Yeah.
So, and then when Paul saw I left Kyle, Paul, we bumped into each other here at one of the tournaments in Arizona, and he was like, Samir, we need to talk. I was like, what's up? And he was like, I just left my previous association, and I want to talk to you. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I just left previous association too. And he was like, we need to talk. I was like, okay, let's get on the phone. So so I didn't want to start anything, but of course I wanted to compete. And I was a second degree black belt. Yep. And I was the only one between me, Kyle, Paul. I was the only one. So I started I was like, we didn't even like, okay, so let's do Samir Chantre. Once Kishinho leaves, we start the team. So we did Samir Chantre. And I think that was when we met. Yep. And we did Nogi Worlds. We did a few tournaments at Samir Chantre. Yep. And I think you won that Nogi Worlds, right?
Yep. No, I took third. I got submitted with 7 seconds left on the clock. The guy almost took my foot off. Yeah. It was it was a stupid move. I'll regret that forever. But anyway,
Sorry for reminding you.
That one cut me deep.
Sorry for bringing it up. So and then I remember Paul won. Yeah. Paul won. I had that memorable match with John Miao in the finals. Yep. Which I won. And then they removed my points after the bell had already ran. But still, I still won that match. Yeah. Inside.
Technically,
I did win. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think it was December. I called Queixinho, come here to my gym. We teach together here. We split the gym here, and I was like, so we could start Ares. I'm like, come here, come to my town, like we teach in the gym with me, and then we split whatever we have here.
Yeah,
and and then that's when we start Ares.
Wow.
So then and a big detail, they closed Carlson Gracie in Brazil. They closed the school because I think the owner of the building wanted to sell the building. So they kicked everyone out from the building.
Whoa.
So they closed Carlson Gracie, the original OG Carlson Gracie school in Brazil.
Whoa.
So my instructor left Carlson Gracie and started teaching a gym nearby.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, weeks later, they reopened without my instructor.
Wow.
So they kind of did I don't know if that was all planned out.
Yeah. I
know. I'm sure. People have their own stories. But
he must have been devastated.
He was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was the perfect timing.
Yeah.
It was the perfect timing. So on that same month, I was without a association. Queixinho, Milton, Alan, and Samir. Paul was already under me.
Yep.
So and then we had the guys from Roseville.
Yep.
John, Julio.
Yep.
And they also were under us because they were also waiting for us. You know? But they knew something was coming, so they were kind of like without association too. So we kind of started the team with already like 10 affiliations, and then it just grew super fast from there. Yeah.
So how did you grow the association? I know at least in Arizona it's huge, but I mean you're worldwide. I mean there's like Korea, there's like other places. How do people get a hold of you? Like say there's a brown belt out there that doesn't have an association, they want to be part of Ares. How do they get a hold of you?
They usually go through our website.
Okay.
They either. Sometimes they hit us up on social media, like
maybe word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth. Yeah. Hit us up on social media, but we do have our website, aresbjj.com, and they go through there. There's a link, become an affiliate, and then they email us. They email us, explain why they want to become an affiliate.
Yeah,
and we get to talk. We do like interviews. We talk. We go. We meet.
Yeah,
and. In the end of the day, the most important thing that we look for is, of course, the good person and all that.
The vibe of the place, everything. Yeah,
and the view. How the person views jiu-jitsu and what's that point of view on like their what jiu-jitsu means and what a team means for them.
Yeah,
I think this is one of the most valuable things we care about.
Yeah,
our team was always built on like friendly atmosphere and people that really want to get together and do stuff together. Yep. And like always with that environment and help each other grow, and all that. We don't like if we make a mistake on the admission and we find out anything after that, we end up going on separate ways.
Yep.
And it's not something that's forced. It's something that just destiny.
Yeah.
Like
it naturally happens,
it naturally
right?
happens when you're not walking certain direction in the same direction. It just
it's just like anything else, man. When you make a decision like to follow someone or to work somewhere or do whatever, once you see that your values don't align with that person or that company, you should probably part ways.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just pretty much what you're saying, right? The values don't align. It's better that we don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly, yeah. And we always try to figure that out first. So, let's work in the future, right?
Yes.
So we don't have any problems, But of course, it's like in life, even marriage.
Yeah.
Which this is almost marriage,
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
So even in marriage that happens. So like. It does happen in business. It does have it happens in teams also. So it's but it's a matter of correcting afterwards, you know.
Yeah.
And one thing that I say too, like I'm never gonna say like I'm right and you're wrong. You know, we just think differently.
Think differently.
You know?
That's it.
You just think differently, and same I think about students too. Like sometimes like I can say from my point of view, I'm the best. My school is the best school in town.
Mm-hmm.
But the other schools still have a tons of people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Why? Because that school may be the best school for them.
Yes.
You know, and I had some students, like most of the students, and when students come to my gym, it's because they're looking for something better for them.
Yep.
And I've had students leaving my gym and going to others' gyms, and I might look and say, man, are you out of your mind? You
Right,
know,
yeah.
like you're really
Yeah.
leaving my gym to go to a school that's not even, you know. But hey, if it's better for you, go ahead. You
Yeah.
know, like I just, you know, I want my school to be with the right environment.
Yeah.
You know, and I want you to be happy. You know.
Yeah.
And if you're not happy here and you're gonna be happy there, go ahead.
Yeah.
You know, like I think you know everyone should be where they find it.
100% happy.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's cool that I'm sure that's a lot of influence from Alan early on.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
And I use that example a lot all the time. You know, like
Yeah.
If it wasn't for my instructor, if my instructor didn't allow me to train other places, my instructor didn't allow me to go to other places,
Yeah.
I would never be what I am today.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm very thankful about it. And I can't be different than no one else. you know?
Yeah. And that's one thing that, like, I mean, it's not it's not so unique to Ares that no one else does it, but I'm sure a lot of people do it. But one thing that Ares always encourages is the cross training piece, right? You guys have always encouraged that. And I encourage that in my students. And like you said, like if a student leaves me and quits training, then I failed them, right? But if they leave me to go somewhere else because their needs change, that's totally different. Yeah. Totally cool. I want what's best for them.
Yeah.
But as far as cross training, like, did you ever do like for me, if someone that I compete with completely kicks my ass, like I want to train with them. Like I want to know what they did, how they did it. Do you ever do that? Like cross train with people? Like maybe they didn't fight you, but their games are a little bit different. They're on a different team, something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a little, I'm not going to say I'm, the biggest jiu-jitsu nerd, but I'm pretty nerd.
You're up there.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, you're up there.
Somewhere up there. You know, I'm somewhere up there. I'm super interested about people's game.
Yeah.
I'm super interested about people's games, about how they do it, and I'm a man. Let me brag again. Okay, I'm a pretty.
Hey, you're allowed to. This is a safe environment, Samir.
Okay,
safe environment.
All right, no judgment zone. I'm a pretty smart guy.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to my wife about it the other day. No, I think last week. I was like, I don't think I'm the most talented person.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
Like I don't have. I don't have like those beautiful movements and my body moves this certain way and I'm super flexible and have this nice. No, but I consider myself a very intelligent person that sees jiu-jitsu different than a lot of people. I learn really fast anything. And I have a really good coordination and body awareness and understand really well the mechanics. And this is the way that I teach too. Always when I teach, like I was joking this week with my students. I was going to teach. I taught Americana from side control, like a key lock, side control key lock. Took me 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes to show a freaking key lock from side control. You know, like just because I want to talk about every little part of your body and how it moves and how you need to control that situation so you can have that perfect timing, positioning, and control in order for that submission to work.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you about how the mechanic of your body works to a certain way in order to do this, and how this relates to another position that you can also apply, and this and that. And I think this is how I got my jiu-jitsu so much better, because I started doing analogies of one move that I learned, I can apply to tons of different ones. Yeah. You know, because I don't need to learn 10 moves. If I learn this one here, everything else is going to be my instinct's gonna kick in. You know,
Yeah.
like my student just posted. I have a really high level wrestler student. She was like Team USA, Team Worlds.
Wow.
She's training at the Olympic Center for her whole life. She's really, really good. And she posted a video. She showed me a video. Samir, look at this, because she took me down when I defended. I hit the mat, popped back up, and I reshot her. And she's like, look at it. I was like, oh, pretty cool. And she was like, did you see what he did? I was like, came back up and took it down.
Yeah.
She was like, no, you ran my elbow this way, preventing me from hugging you, and took it. And I was like, man. And I was like, so I ran her elbow in a way that I do to defend guard passes.
Oh, yeah.
But I did to defend a takedown instinctively.
Yeah.
But because I understand the mechanic that one thing that I know that I could open space for me to get out, not allowing her to turn into me, because if I push her elbow this way, so just things like that, like knowing that the person cannot turn to the side that they're not looking, like your body won't turn that way if they're not looking that way. You know, things like that I'm pretty nerd about. Like I like this a lot. Yeah. And that, so I think this translated to my jiu-jitsu, you know, like way more than like I'm a talented guy. Like I never thought I was a very talented guy, you know?
Yeah, and I can kind of speak to that. I think I've shared this with you several times when I was a white belt, maybe a year, maybe I had a couple stripes on my belt. You know, I was very new. And yours was the first seminar I'd ever been to. And I'd been training under Paul, right? And Paul is like, you know, he was teaching me, you know, these, you know, systems, right? But no one had ever called it a system or a concept. Right? Until that seminar with you. We were talking about a system and concept. I think it was like we were doing hip clamps, and you were just talking about if applied properly, it translates into several different things. You know, it translates in a very basic sweep, right? And then we were rolling under, going after the legs, and then taking the back and stuff like that. But ever since that day, I wouldn't say I'm a jiu-jitsu nerd. I'm more of a jiu-jitsu snob, because I want to hear about systems and concepts. If someone tells me, hey, I'm going to show you this really sneaky, you lost me. As soon as you say sneaky, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want. I want to learn systems and concepts. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't want to hear sneaky stuff.
I'm like that too.
Yeah. So I really do appreciate that. That was a big. Just those two words that you use in that seminar, I've carried since white belt.
That's nice.
Right. So that was really cool.
Nice.
And now when I go to a seminar, you know, I want to see. You know, there's certain things like we did a seminar with Marcelo Garcia,
nice.
And it was like he was in town, and of course I'm going to go, right? And he was talking about controlling the distance when in the stand-up, every inch, right? And he did this little drill with the hands that it's hard to do with students because they're like, what the hell is this? But he's talking about controlling the hands, right? And if you control the hands, now you have control of the hands. Now you can control the distance to the collars, right? Instead of just reaching into the collar and exchanging grips, he's controlling every bit, right? And I'm like, I could have watched that for an hour, right? That would have been, and he went like to the, you know, to getting him on the ground, you know, passing the guard and taking the back and, you know, submitting it more for show, right? Because everybody paid so much money, they want all that shit. I would have been happy with the hand fighting, but then again, that's a system, that's a concept, right, of the hand fighting.
That's the same the way that I am. Like, and that translates to my teaching, you know, like the way that I always view jiu-jitsu, it's this way. It's like, not always view jiu-jitsu, but like after my black belt, like I started being professional, only thinking about it, and I started teaching too. Teaching definitely helped me grow so much. Yeah, and I think because of my teaching, I started to develop that way of thinking too. And today, like, and always on my, and if you see even my techniques, if you see my game, they're all connected. Yeah, you know, my guard passing game, it's literally all connected. It's this, you know. You're gonna see connection in everything. You're gonna see like a little concept in a different concept in everything all correlated, you know? So, jiu-jitsu is amazing.
It is, and what I love about jiu-jitsu is that it's infinite. Yeah. And you know, for example, when we were the last seminar you did at our academy, you showed the same move 3 different ways. You showed it at a very basic level, at an intermediate level, and then an advanced level. And if people were to just take the time, because I recorded all of it, if people were to just take the time to go through the 3 phases, right? Start with the very basic, work intermediate, work advanced. I think their game would flourish so much. But you have to be super patient, right? You have to be super patient with it. You have to be willing to put in the time, put in the reps. I don't think that's something that we have today thanks to YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, people want instant gratification. They don't want to drill things 1,000 times. They just want to move on to the next thing. And people, like, new students will ask me, well, you know, what about this sweep from here? What about that sweep from there? And I'm like, dude, escape mount. Then we'll talk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you have that issue, like, with new students? Like, I mean, obviously they want the most cutting edge stuff. They want to be competitive, stuff like that. How do you take somebody that is really aggressively trying to pursue a competitive, let's call it a career, because that's what you can do now in jiu-jitsu, right? It doesn't take you 10 years. But how do you draw them back and say, hey, let's work on these very basic concepts first?
So I do have a system in my gym. We have our beginner curriculum. We have our intermediate classes, and we have our advanced classes.
Yep.
So I limited the amount of people for my advanced classes. You have to have a certain amount of stripes on the white belt.
Okay.
So in order to do that, so you complete the beginner course. Beginner course, you get 1 stripe, and then you work to get the other stripes in order to go to the advanced class.
Nice.
So you're not gonna be berimbolo until I'm telling you to. You know, like, you can watch on YouTube, but you're not doing it.
Yeah,
you're not doing it here.
Right.
Know? So when they complete the course, the beginner course, they learn how to escape from the mount. They learn how to escape from side control. They learn how to submit from mount. They learn how to submit from side control. They learn how to escape the back. They know how to take the back. They know how to half guard. And so they learn basically all the. I'm not gonna say all, but like a little foundation.
Yeah. So
I like to say my beginner class is the root, and then the truck is the intermediate class.
Yeah.
And then the advanced class is the flowers.
Oh, the leaves and everything.
Yeah. So, man, you can't skip it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't skip it. So when you complete the foundation, when you complete the root, when you have the root there, then you can move into the trunk. You can move into so you're going to. So if I showed you how to take the back, how to do a little submission on the back, now we can start on applying more stuff there on the back.
Yeah.
I just showed you how do one basic submission from the mount, like cross stroke from the mount.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna show you armbar. Now I'm gonna show you a bunch of different stuff and how to control and different stuff from there. And I also, like I said, it took me 20 minutes to show. I was covering. I don't teach the beginner class in my gym anymore, but I was covering for one of my instructors.
Yeah.
And took me 20 minutes to show a technique from there. And I was telling, and why? Because I'm worried about you learning the control from there.
Yeah.
Because this is the fundamental. You know, once you learn the fundamental aspect of that technique, which is how to control side control, you know, then then you can look at YouTube and move, and you're gonna be able to apply.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
right.
like people say, you know, one thing, you know, an example, and I give that example when I show mount position, when I show choke from the mount. Also takes me 20 minutes to show choke from the mount. Right. I give Roger Gracie example.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about how Roger Gracie's choke from the mouth is amazing. I'm not going to say I disagree with that, but there's something way more amazing than that. It's his mount control. The fact that he taps everyone from there, it's because nobody can get out of there.
Yeah.
You know, like if there is a 220-pound guy on top of you for 8 minutes trying to do one thing, and you're wasting all your energy on trying to get out of there, and you can't, he's going to get it one way or the other.
Yeah.
You know, you can have a great defense. Like, you can see people, like, just trying to cover the neck.
Yep.
But you're going to be wasting your energy there trying to escape.
Yeah.
You don't want to stay there, you know?
Yeah.
And that choke's going to be little by little coming in. I don't think it's the amazing technique on his cross choke.
Right.
You know? But the way that he controls the mount, the way that he distributes his weight, the way that he widens his knees, the way that he closes his foot, the way that he is, man,
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is what I try to pass to my students: how to control. How are you gonna give? How to cross choke from the mount without giving up position?
Yeah.
How to Americana from side control without giving up position? Because, like, and I tell my students one thing too: like, you can know 10,000 moves from the mount. If you can't keep the mount, you're not gonna get any.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not gonna get any. You know?
Yeah.
But if you know one move, I'm not saying Roger knows only one move, but he only wanted to do one move, and he got it.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Why? Because nobody escaped from the mount.
Yeah.
You know, so if you understand jiu-jitsu like that, so if you're worried about like how the body works and how like in side control, there's 2 lines of pressure. There's 2 lines. There's a hip line, there's a shoulder line.
Yep.
In order for you to escape from that, you need to move one of those lines.
One or the other. Yep.
If I control both lines, you're not escaping.
Yeah.
If I leave one alone, but I'm fully control the other one, you're not escaping either.
Yeah.
You know, so if I'm able to apply submissions without leaving the control at least one of them, I'm getting it.
Yep.
You know, but then when I get too greedy and I forget about this and go all into a submission, I'm losing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's what beginners don't understand.
Yep.
Because they wanna go for that submission. It's like a funny thing, like you can just see a beginner, a brand new white belt trying to mount from side control.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
They step right into half guard.
Half guard,
You know,
yeah.
like right into half
Yep.
guard. And
Yeah.
why is that? Because they don't understand the control.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand how to do a proper control there. All right, get the underhook, get super nice, neutralize the shoulder line. Now you go with the knee, slide the knee slowly through the hip line.
Yeah.
Now you're controlling the shoulder line and the hip line.
Yeah.
Spread a person apart, create space. You need space to land on the other side. So now open that space. Okay, you extend the person, hip line control, shoulder line control. Now, once you almost there, you got 1 split second to put a foot on the mat.
Yep.
Because you're gonna lose control of that hip line for 1 split second.
Yeah.
If your foot hits that mat with 1 split second, you're good.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, but making a 2-day white belt do that, it's not easy.
It's not easy. Yeah.
So when they complete the course, when they complete the white belt course, the beginner course, and then they start moving into all level course, the intermediate course.
Yeah.
And then once, and then that's what I tell my instructors too. Like, they're like, "Oh, Samir, so is there a time limit? Is there a time for me to promote the other stripes in order to make them eligible to go to your class?" I was like, "No, it's when you think they can do my moves.
Yeah.
If you think they can do my moves, if you think they can go to the advanced class, if you think they know how to control the positions in order to be able to apply." And I'm not saying do the technique though.
Right.
Like
right.
doing the technique, my daughter does the technique.
Right.
You know, but
Yeah.
is my daughter able to hold you in place while she's doing the technique?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So when that beginner is able to control and have a good positioning and fundamentals to start to so the lifts can come out.
Yep.
Then it's time for them to go to the
Yeah. So they have to understand the concept before they can blossom into anything else.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
exactly.
cool. That's
Exactly.
cool. Do you allow your beginner class? Do they roll? Do they spar at all?
They do positional sparring.
Positional. Yeah. So do we.
They do positional
Yeah. We do the same
sparring.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do positional sparring, and then I finished the I finished the class, and then on the morning class we have some open mats afterwards.
Okay.
So if more experienced they want to, because sometimes too some white belts they don't want to train.
Yeah.
But if you tell them to train, they will.
Yep.
You know, and sometimes they don't want to train.
Yeah.
You know, they don't feel like they are in shape to train. They don't
Right.
feel like ready to train and all that. And then you tell them to train and they feel pressured.
Yeah.
So I finished the class in the morning class because I don't have a class after. So I finished the class. If they want to train afterwards, because I know I have some other students that want to train, some blue belts and all, that they still go to that class.
Okay.
So I allow them to train.
Yeah.
But a lot of the beginners, they leave.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's cool. So I want to backtrack a little bit. We were talking about your relationship with Gustavo Dantes. Gustavo Dantes. I was actually talking to one of his students on the podcast the other day, and I credit him and Megaton with doing more for jiu-jitsu in Arizona than just about anybody. Maybe Jay Page has been around almost as long. You know what I mean? They've done a lot for jiu-jitsu in Arizona, but. I was always curious, like, how does a guy that comes from that's okay. I was always curious to know, like, how does a guy that comes from a tropical paradise come to Arizona and be like, yeah, this is going to be all right? You know what I mean?
I don't know either.
How did your relationship start with Gustavo? Did you know him from back in Brazil?
I didn't.
Okay.
I did not know. So it was that story that I was talking about. I was in Brazil.
Yep.
And he reached out, and then let's oh, you want to come out? Actually, it was Christina.
Okay.
So Christina used to train at Caesars.
Okay.
Christina used to train at Caesars when I first got there.
Gotcha.
So and then she moved to Arizona, and then she reached out and said, "Hey Samir, you want to come in? Gustavo is putting a tournament,
Yeah.
and you can referee and you can also fight this tournament. It's like $1,000 prize, and it's I don't remember if it was a 16-man bracket or an 8-man bracket, and you can ref and then compete.
Yeah.
You know." I was like, yeah, let's do it. I remember I was at Rio Open. I was at Rio International Open in Rio. I was there 1 year after I moved here. I went there to Brazil to renew my visa.
Okay.
And then to come back here. And and then I come back. I came back in August, and the tournament was in October.
Mm-hmm.
It was Southwest.
Oh, okay.
It was Southwest,
yeah,
yes. And then the tournament was October. That's awesome. And so that was when I actually met Gustavo, and then we started talking. And then we got along really well since the beginning.
Yeah.
Me and Gustavo, I think we have very similar work ethics,
Mm-hmm.
You
mean like just work all the time? I don't know if that's an ethic. I think that's a life, dude. Yeah. Anyway.
Not only that.
Yeah.
That too. But just the way that we like to work, the way that we like to have people around us.
Yeah.
We like to have people that think like us, to have the same work ethics working with us.
Yep.
And Gustavo is like that too. Gustavo is the kind of guy that if you mess up, like for example refereeing, I'll give an example of refereeing, even though like he gives me like a 100% of the control.
Yeah.
Like he for example, if you make a mistake refereeing, let's say he would be like, he can get better, he can study, he can keep going and get more experience, he will get better. But if you see that you are like lacking integrity or anything like that, he'll cut you off.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Like we spoke about before, if our values don't align and all that. I think humans make mistake.
Yep.
Humans make mistake. We can make mistake, learn from them, and grow. You know, and that's. I'm like that too with work, with jiu-jitsu, with my instructors, with anything I'm related to.
Yeah.
Like we're humans, we make mistake.
Yep.
And like I said, we grow with it. But if it's your integrity, if it's out of character and things like that, I think it's might not work out, and we might prevent something worse later if we just
absolutely. Yeah.
So and I like working with Gustavo a lot, and Gustavo is a very straightforward guy. This is it, like this is it. He's going to he is super honest guy, works really well. I'm like that too. We have good views, been working with him for 12 years, like we then of course work at 12 years to become good friends, of
course.
And like I said, I think we just have our views and our work ethics very aligned, you know? Like it just it works really well.
That's good. So so being the head referee for I don't know if it's in his league, right? His AZBJJL. So you have a group of referees, and they're all really good. And we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
The reason why we support tournaments that we support. And I try to, again, it's hard to rein in students that want to be competitors, right? But I also tell them that of the utmost importance to me is athlete safety.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't care if you never learn a damn thing from me. If I keep you safe, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Okay? That also goes for tournaments. The reason I support the AZBJJ, IBJJF, because it's almost the same referees, right? A lot of them are the same refs. But they spend a lot of time and money and effort on training the referees and making sure that they're in the right position and making sure that they're making the right calls. They make mistakes, just like you said, right? But there's always checks and balances to that kind of stuff, right? And you're going to have a new referee who's a little nervous, might miss a call. Just happens, right? But you may have a veteran referee that can be there and be like, hey, you know, this is what we need to do to correct this, right? But what is the process? Well, I guess I should, you know, finish one up. My thought is other organizations that come to town, and they'll remain nameless. I get turned off by them because they're calling academies going, hey, does anybody there want to ref? Yeah. Like, what? Like you just throw a T-shirt on and all of a sudden you're referee. I disagree. Yeah. Right? Too. There's a lot more to it. What do you put into referees in your organization?
All right. So that comes back to what we were talking about, Gustavo. Yeah. Gustavo is the kind of guy that he will take money out of his pocket and he will invest money into the best referees because the safety and the name of his association, of his league. Yep. So for the past 12 years, of course, the jiu-jitsu in Arizona grew tremendously. Yeah. The level of competitors, the level of the tournament grew so much too. And part of that is because Gustavo was willing to invest in it. Yeah. So I mentioned the first time I came here was just to do the tournament and to compete. Yeah. And Gustavo was doing everything. Gustavo was the head ref. Gustavo was the coordinator. Gustavo was running the tournament. Gustavo was doing everything. Yeah. You know, and he was used to that because he used to do that in his academy. You know, he would run the tournaments in his academy doing like that. And then I told him, I was like, Gustavo, I can help you with that. We can do. I can help you get referees. I can help you running the referees and all that. And I was already refereeing for a long time and all that. Not a long time, but I was reffing. I was always very into it. And I was reffing for BJJF, of course. And he was like, okay, so let's do it next time. We do, we see how it goes. And, you know, we go from there. We do a test and we go from there. So I put the refs together. And he always was willing on bringing refs from out of town since we didn't have as much referee. Yeah. He never, and it was, and one thing that he always said, like, referees to ref for us needs to have IBJJF course. So they need to be IBJJF certified because if we follow IBJJF rules, he wanted IBJJF certified referees. Yeah. And so that I always brought refs from out of town. So we used to have 6 mats, some tournaments even 4 mats because it was very small back then. And we always had some tournaments we had 100% of the referees from out of town. Wow. So imagine a small tournament with only 4 mats bringing everyone from out of town, you know, like tickets, hotel, and of course the payout, you know? Yeah. So he was never trying to be cheap on that, you know? Never. Yeah. He always was willing to invest to have the highest level tournaments that he could possibly have. Yeah. And that comes down to the work ethic that we were talking about, you know? And I'm exactly like that. Yeah. So since the beginning, that was the plan, and to go. But of course, the plan was also to try to build referees here in Arizona. Yep. But it was a long-term plan because there wasn't even as much black belts here. Yeah. You know? So more people was coming here, more gyms were coming here, and it's even funny to be here remembering how the tournaments it was before and now. It's just a complete, like, again, like a person, a white belt, a blue belt who just walked in the tournament today. Oh my gosh. You know, and then they look back, they're like, and then if I tell them the stories back then, they're like, wow, you know. Yeah. Like, imagine even before that when Gustavo was running to the show in his academy. So, but yeah, so we always invested in the referees, having always the only certified certified IBJJF referees. Yeah. And then I started teaching referee courses here in Arizona. which was very nice too. We started producing more referees here in Arizona. We kept always bringing referees, and then we came up with a rule where everyone needs to have a updated certification for IBJJF. So you can't be that guy who did this, who got certified referee 10 years ago and want to come and train, you know?
Yeah.
And you want to come and ref, because the rules change.
Yep.
Rules change almost every year, every couple of years. And we want you to be on top of the game. We want you to be updated with the rules.
No, that's smart.
Yeah. So, and this tournament was actually the first tournament ever that we didn't bring anyone from out of town. Besides
Really?
me, of course, yes.
No kidding. That's
First
great.
tournament ever.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, and we still had 2 extra refs, which I used so we could train interns.
Yes, I noticed that today. I think there was a white belt match where there were the 3 referees.
Yes.
And people are like, why are they doing 3? And I'm like, they're training the guy in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? And that's brilliant. That's a really good way. And it gives the guy in the middle a little bit less anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever want to be a ref. I could not imagine. Dude, no.
If he messes up, we have 2 experienced refs on the side that correct his calls.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the best way to have interns, you know. So looking back and seeing today, we have, and again, it comes down to a promoter who is willing to invest money into his league.
Yeah.
He's paying extra refs to be there training the intern.
Yep.
You know, and then we see other federations willing to pay low money to lower belts in order for them to ref for them.
They've offered me like to ref. I'm like, you're out of your mind? No, I can't do that. You know what? Like, it's not that I couldn't do it. I can't do it for as long as you guys do it. Like, after a while watching jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't even remember who's on bottom, who's on top. And I don't know, just start giving points out. But one thing I did notice, going back to Gustavo, the work ethic, the money he invests in his local tournaments, is when I first started doing these tournaments, I can't remember what registration was like, I don't know, $80 or something. I can't remember. But then there was always a wow factor the following year. So my first tournament was Southwest Classic. Mm-hmm. So if you take Southwest Classic that year versus the following year, it was like, okay, the little banner that holds the podium thing isn't made out of PVC anymore. It's a nice metal stand that looks professional, right? Yeah. And then the following year, it's like, oh, we got updated electronics. That's pretty cool. And then you got updated televisions, and then the all of the tables have, you know, the covers on them, and then all of the mat court. This is a progression year over year.
The mats too.
Yes, brand new mats, and then
all the mats.
Yep, the mat coordinators have iPads now, and everything updates right away. It didn't before, right? No, the price hasn't gone up. It maybe $10. And now we went from the Phoenix College, which is a small venue that we outgrew 5 years ago, into this brand new, beautiful, Bell Bank Park, whatever it's called, and the prices didn't go up.
And also an investment.
Yeah.
You know, so we go to this huge. So basically, he went to a place where he has space to grow.
Yep.
You know, he didn't just go to a little bigger there. No, he went
huge,
big.
Yeah.
Now we have space to go. Now we can do. Imagine like when we are able to do 2 days.
Yeah.
In this huge 12 mats.
Awesome
space. You know? Way better. Now we have. Now we're able to have boots. Now we're able to have stands and all that. So it's definitely an upgrade. And this has been the whole time. Every tournament I come in. And then Gustavo calls me. We have video calls. We have talks. And always give me, hey, Samir, I have this idea. What do you think? What do you think? How they do it there? And what do you think? I'm thinking about doing this. Do you think it's going to work? And then when I start with the coaches too and all that. So it's everything is so planned out. It seems like Gustavo thinks about it every day.
Yeah.
You know, like how to, his mindset is always, how am I going to make better the experience? Yeah. For the person who walks into my tournaments.
Yeah, and this is the same guy that has an association, GD Association, right? He has his own academy here. He has a podcast, and I believe he has a YouTube channel in Portuguese and in English.
Yeah.
And yet, he's still trying to research how to make his tournament better. So that's a lot of work. Again, mental coach. Yeah. I mean, we're talking earlier, 10 things at the same time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's crazy work ethic. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So what about you, man? What's in the near future for you? What do you, do you have anything coming up that you want people to know about?
Yeah, no, I'm there in my school.
Yeah.
Modesto, California.
Yeah.
I focus on growing the school. Focus on some of my personal goals too.
Yeah.
I'm still with some goals in competing too. I'm very likely doing Master Worlds.
Nice.
Yeah, I do want to do Master Worlds. I was injured not long ago. I had a neck injury. I was without training for a little bit, but then I start coming back little by little, and then focus on other things in my life too. And now I get back in training, so I'm thinking about doing Master Worlds. So, yeah. So
very cool,
excited
man.
For that.
Yeah, yeah. So listen, we've been going for an hour and 36 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I want to thank you first of all. I mean, I took advantage of you being in town to get you in here. This is awesome.
No, that was nice.
But tell us where people can find you, social media wise, YouTube, anything like that. You want to put that out there?
Yeah. Samir Chantre, on Instagram. This is definitely my most active social media.
Yeah.
I think Samir Chantre on Instagram is the best way to go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you guys have seminars in mind, and he's not traveling the world, you definitely want to get Samir in for a seminar. I've learned so much from you, man. I really appreciate you. But before we let anybody leave, we got to do a lightning round of questions. Give me 1 second. Can you what? Ask a question. Yeah. Do you mind if I ask the question so we can edit it in? Okay, so you tell me if I get it wrong. All right. So talking about teaching a class, a mixed levels class where you have brand new white belts to black belts, and you want to kind of bring the class in, like have everybody participate and grow at the same time. What is your philosophy, routine, whatever you want to call it, on keeping everybody engaged and learning at the same time, holding the black belts, keeping them engaged, and also providing the white belts a level of experience where they can get something out of the class as well.
Right. So, in order for you to have a plan on what to teach in a mixed level class, you have to have a plan on what to teach in the fundamental class and in the advanced class.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a root, you don't have a chunk.
Mm.
And why would you have a chunk if you're not planning on having leaves?
Right.
So this mid part, it's where it's when your white belts know the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Right. If they know the fundamentals, they'll be able to do this.
Yeah.
They'll be able to, if they have the roots, they'll be able to grow the trunk.
Yeah.
The trunks, right? So, for example, if like the example that I was doing, if you know that your white belts, they know how to control a side control.
Yep.
They know the fundamentals of the side control, right? So. You don't need to go to a Americana from side control,
right?
If you're in the mixed levels, but you can go to a nice umber from there.
Yeah,
because the nice umber will work if they have the knowledge of the side control.
Yeah, like you said, controlling the shoulder line and waistline. Yeah,
exactly.
Very cool.
So same thing, like you can do a back take because they know how to control the back, and they know how to control the situation before that.
Yeah,
if you do let's say you do a De La Riva back take, and then, okay, let's go through the De La Riva and go to the back take. But your white belt needs to know what guard is, and all that, and knowing how to do guard retention, how to prevent, how not to mess it up, in order to go into a technique from there. You know? So if you have the understanding on that your students know the fundamentals, then you just grow the tree from there. Yeah. And then then you can start going into something more advanced when they already been through certain like a certain time in that in a middle class.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay. Good. All right. All right. So this is the lightning round of questions, and there are no wrong answers. All right. So let me see, make sure I get the right ones because here we go. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Burger.
All right. What's the longest you've gone without brushing your teeth?
Shoot, I don't know, a day.
Name a dumb song you secretly like.
Probably Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys? Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. I just pictured you listening to Backstreet Boys. Do you like to sleep in or take a nap?
Sleep in.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
Would you rather travel into the future or back in time?
Into the future.
Rolling Stones or Elvis?
Damn it, none of that. Bro, I'm not that old.
Everybody's a Rolling Stones or an Elvis guy. Listen, Samir, thank you. This has been a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate you coming in, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
That'd be nice.
But so again, guys, if you're looking for Samir Chantre, again on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, you can find him all over the place. If you like the show and you want to support it, please like and subscribe. And thank you guys for listening. Have a great night. Thanks, man.
All right, thank you, guys.